Among the many questions that I get asked on a regular basis, there is one question that has been asked more frequently since the creation of this new channel. Why is Jing your profile picture? Why don't you change it to something else? I thought about why someone would ask me this, and I came to the conclusion that this is a story that I've lived through with so many of you, and yet I've never told it. This is the story of how a series went from being something I watched every day after work for just a fun time, turned into the profile picture and the very soul behind the King Recon channel. This is my Hunter x Hunter story. About 4 years ago in the beginning of June, I decided to create a YouTube channel, and with it, I would talk about my two favorite series at the time, Bleach and One Piece, to no end. Endless discussions and reviews on the two series that I loved and just wanted somebody else to talk about them with. There were many other series that I loved and enjoyed, but I only had the desire to discuss these two series. A few weeks later, I would add the Naruto manga to the list to finish off the big three and add another story that I enjoyed discussing on the channel. For a few months, I stayed with these series until I was recommended a series called Hunter x Hunter. I remember looking at the name of the series and searched it up out of curiosity, and I noticed that it was made by Yoshihiro Togashi, which made another series very near and dear to my heart in Yu Yu Hakusho. So I decided to give it a shot. I remember watching the first episode and just being so in love with the adventure feel the series gave off. From its opening to its OST to the very color palette, I truly enjoyed the very first episode so much that I decided to record first impressions on it. And I decided to watch the next episode the next day after work. But I didn't. It was around this time that I started my first semester in college, and I immediately got struck with a reality check when having to balance work and college at the same time. So I put off Hunter x Hunter for a while and decided to just leave it at that. But I wanted to come back to it eventually. Time went on, and one day I came home extremely exhausted from work, and I just didn't feel like studying or talking about any manga. So I turned on my Xbox 360 and saw Hunter x Hunter was still on my dashboard. So I pressed it and decided to watch episode 2. That led me to watching episode 3, and then I watched episode 4. I was in awe. I was completely immersed. I wanted to talk about it, so I decided to make a video talking about episodes 2, 3, and 4, and I went to sleep. I uploaded the video the next morning, and when I got home from work, I saw a comment that said that they were really happy I was enjoying it, and that I should continue doing these, and even though I thought it was a good idea, I didn't want to restrict myself to just watching when I felt like recording, so I put it off again and came back to it later on. After work another day, I decided to put it on again and found myself watching 3 episodes yet again. And I wanted to talk about them, so I did, but this time I added the words ketchup sauce to it. So the videos would be titled Hunter x Hunter Ketchup Sauce Episode Number. I recorded the video, except this time I actually came back to it immediately the next day. I watched episode 9, made a video about that episode, and then I went on to make one for episode 10. But I couldn't wait. I needed the next episode. So I scratched that and I said, let's watch episode 11. And the moment I finished that episode, I went to record a video ASAP. It wasn't that I needed. It was no longer about wanting or not wanting to record a video anymore. It was that I needed to talk about Hunter x Hunter. I was addicted. Around this time, Kill la Kill started airing, and I was really enjoying that, so I started talking about the new episodes every Thursday. So now I had an actual starting lineup on the channel. One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, Kill la Kill, and my Hunter x Hunter Catch-Up Sauce videos recording the journey and how I felt about it thus far. Thus, every single day that wasn't a weekly release or wasn't based around a new chapter or a new episode or a discussion about one of those, I would watch an episode or two after work and record my thoughts on it. This would continue up until December. December 2013 was quite a time. One Piece was on fire, and I was entering live streams regularly to discuss and talk about the chapters and random other nonsense for a while, but naturally that would go on to take up most of my free time. But then came 2014. The beginning of the year came with a new semester of classes, which for most people was filled with worries about how the new semester would go or how much the books would cost. But not me. Most certainly not me, because I was obsessed. Now the time had come for me to start watching Hunter x Hunter again. And where I left off was in the Heavens Arena, I always call this arc the arc that hooked me because I couldn't make a video after 1 or 2 episodes anymore. I remember making one for episodes 27 through 29, and then the following day making one for episodes 30 to 35. And boy, was I obsessed, man. Episode 32's ending, to this very day, with Hisoka and the spider tattoo, is on the level of Gohan's Super Saiyan 2 transformation in terms of how badly I wanted to see the next episode. And the narrator's voice saying Gene Ryodan just sticks with me to this very day, with ending 2 just going off into the sunset. And I remember being so addicted to that ending that I would go to work or I would go to school and that ending would just be playing in my head, man. It was legendary, man. And by the gods, all I wanted to do was just go home and watch more episodes and then record some videos on them. But then came the fateful days. The days that would go on to change my anime and manga life and scramble up my list of favorites. Martin Luther King Day. The day before, I recorded a video for episodes 39 to 43. And I planned on doing something similar on MLK Day, because I wanted to be with my family, and I said, let's go ahead and watch a few episodes and then go out and hang out with the family. But instead, on my bed, watching Hunter x Hunter on my iPhone, I watched from episodes 44 to episode 58 in what would be one of the most immersive experiences I've ever had while watching anime. Nearly all of York knew in one sitting. I could not stop for dear life. I don't know how anybody could stop for dear life. Nearly all of York knew, guys, in one sitting. It was just too good. And my fingers started hitting the next button subconsciously. It was just always hitting next, like it was a book. I was just flipping through the pages. However, it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. I wasn't just obsessed with York knew. I was obsessed with Hunter x Hunter. And the next day, I called off work and proceeded to watch episodes 59 to 75 in one sitting. All of Greed Island, back to back, binging York New and Greed Island. It's incredible how only 2 days before, on that Sunday, my top 5 favorite list was so different compared to how it was only 2 days later after experiencing these 2 arcs. I remember recording the Greed Island video and looking at the comments. One of them was from my boy Edman, who told me, "Yo, you made it to the best arc." And in my mind, I said, there is no way this series continues to be this good. But it was just as he said, and slowly but surely I would go on to start and do videos on the Chimera Ant arc, all the way up until I caught up. At this point, I made a video rounding up my thoughts about the series itself and how much I loved it. And I thought that I would leave it at that. I thought to myself that people wouldn't want to see my videos for weekly episodes, since they just wanted to see the journey. And I'm not that knowledgeable at all since I just caught up, so why would anybody want to watch my weekly videos on Hunter x Hunter? But then, ladies and gentlemen, after a few weeks of not recording any videos on the Awesome Sauce, episode 116 came out, and I absolutely lost it. I had the urge to just grab a camera and talk about the greatness. So I came on here and I recorded a video. And this led to what would become one of the greatest weekly experiences I've ever had on YouTube. I changed my profile picture from my Recon Armor picture to the Jing profile picture you see today. I experienced Hunter x Hunter every Tuesday after work with all of you, talking about the greatness. And I'll never forget when episode 125 came out and my boy Firefist Dre called me up. And us and the rest of the gang were just talking about Hunter x Hunter for hours that entire night, talking about the greatness of Netero and how this is a tomb. Your tomb. And we're just going like, yo, why is this so good? And man, dude, the following week when episode 126 came out, I'll never forget finishing that video with these words. I stated there is no other medium giving you something like this every week. And it's true, man. But even with all of this greatness, it was only a matter of time before I had the temptation to read the manga. There's only so much a man can handle when something this amazing is airing. And thus one night on the way home from school, with a friend of mine who was also caught up, we stopped by a Books of Million near my college, and I bought volumes 28 to 32 and headed straight home. I just wanted to own them. I didn't want to read them. I didn't want to ruin the experience. But after episode 128 aired, I couldn't handle anymore. I really, really couldn't. And on that night, I read all of those volumes and had one of the greatest binging experiences I've ever had in my entire life. Gon's transformation. Gon versus P2, which I remember just thinking to myself, why is this... Like, I knew how many people were reading or watching the anime without reading the manga, because I know how manga readers are. I'm a One Piece fan. Somebody would have spoiled this years ago. And the fact that no one spoiled this godly transformation and what had happened in Gon vs. P2 just told me there's not enough people reading the series. Chapter 318, Komugi and Meruem, still to this day one of my favorite chapters in all of manga. I teared up reading it, man. It was so beautiful, son. As a matter of fact, I remember whenever we were leading up to episode 135, where it would take place in the anime, and there was this version of Hyori Itai, the instrumental version, on YouTube. If you search it up, it's the one by, I want to say something Beck, or something around those lines. The guy that made it, but I don't remember his name, but I remember the picture was Killua holding Gon after he transformed, and that was my song, man. I listened to that preparing for this chapter. I listened to that while rereading this chapter. Like, man, dude, I can't. Komugi and Meruem, man. That is Hunter x Hunter to me. That's legendary stuff, man. That in episode 51 is just legendary, and it's still to this day, man. I'll never forget that experience. And then, of course, my boy Jing coming in. I mean, come on, man. Election arc was absolutely incredible. Jing and Pariston. Killua and how much I grew to love him as a character of this arc. After this arc, man, Gon actually meeting Jing was a huge shock to me. I didn't expect for me to catch up and read that. And man, all of that greatness beyond Netero, man, I will take you there. I mean, one of the greatest experiences. I was caught up, and I was so happy that I decided to catch up, because now no one could take away that experience from me. Now I went into my reviews and discussions with knowledge, and I knew what I was talking about every week. And even though I knew it was coming, I still got hyped. One example of this was whenever episode 131 came out. I'll never forget. I was at Zaxby's after work, and I just wanted to go home. I couldn't wait to go home and watch Hunter x Hunter. I was avoiding looking at my phone like I was experiencing it for the first time. It was crazy. And I watched it. It was one of the most glorious things ever, man. I remember getting on YouTube after I watched the episode, and I started seeing all of these amazing, all these YouTubers that I talked about Hunter x Hunter with, just all uploading their reactions, man. I couldn't wait to get into a stream and just talk about it with everyone, man. Legendary stuff. And, you know, from then on out, every Tuesday after work, I would go home and talk about Hunter x Hunter all the way up until the very end of the anime, man. And it was a time that I'll never forget. It's a time that I'll always cherish. And it was such a massive part of my channel and my life at the time, man, that I remember my parents even remembering how much I loved and still love Hunter x Hunter, man. The streams, meeting new people, and making new friends thanks to this story. Hunter x Hunter led to making the formula that I went on to take for every single series that joins the channel after it. From then on out, it all followed it, but it all started with Hunter x Hunter. Jing is my profile picture, not just because his character embodies who I am as a person, but it embodies the overall goal of my YouTube channel. As much as I would love to break into the range of having millions and millions or even tens of thousands of subscribers, I'm okay with just being on this adventure and experiencing all of the little detours and relationships that come along with the journey. The new series that I add, the new series that I read, and the new friends that I continue to make. But at the end of the day, I'll always just continue striving forward, looking forward to what's next, and continuing to learn new things. Because at the end of the day, that is what I believe life is. One big journey.